So hey everybody, Apollo here. This is the first lesson that I'd ever do with the Ciders group, and I feel really good about it. So a couple of weeks ago, we decided to stop the venture that I was working on to fully focus on Web3 and building together with the Ciders. And I think it was one of the best decisions that we've ever made. The reason for that is that whenever I join this community or whenever I talk with each and every one of you, I do really feel that we're working on something very significant, that we're doing something that other people are not doing, and that we're working towards a really great future for each and every one of us. And one thing that I really love or that really energizes me every morning is the commitment and all the effort that each and every one of you is doing. And I'm very happy and very honored that I'm able to kind of like put my part into maybe the puzzle piece that I'm able to offer into this. Today, first meeting, what I want to talk about is building your own PayPal army and making very conscious efforts in creating your own, let's call it FU army. I already said I'm in a Muslim country, so I don't want to swear too much. The first concept that I want to start with, and I'm going to share my screen for you all, is the idea of paying forward. Concept of free work in Web3. What I think is very important for all of you to understand is that there are not a lot of good people in the space in the first place. So if you look at Web3, it's part snake oil crooks, scammers, unethical people, people that just use money laundering or Bitcoin and Monero for the sake of getting funds out of Russia. And on the other extreme, you have very technical, I'm just going to call them nerds or geeks that have absolutely no idea how to talk to a regular person. And in the middle are all of us, but there are not a lot of people like all of us, people that understand how to talk to people, people that try to understand human psychology and that try to make Web3 into something that is commonly understandable by people around the world. In short, what I believe Web3 to be is ownership and owning stuff. So you being in the space, you creating networks, you being, we call it the go-to guy for something, is really actually very easy. But the main thing that I see people doing wrong is they come in and they say, hey, like I have this skill, pay me to do so. And I mean, it's not a very complicated thing to explain, but the first step to become a respected individual, to bet on the law of reciprocity, is to pay forward, is to give, and then eventually respect anything in return. I'll give an example of myself in Web2. Like 4 years ago, I dropped out of university and I was just sitting in my living room at home in Amsterdam, and I was like, honestly, I don't really have any skills. Like I have no clue what I'm doing. The only thing that I learned in the business schools that I went to was EBITDA and writing presentations and articles that nobody would ever read. And what I did then, I sought out for somebody that was a bit smarter, that was maybe 2, 3 steps ahead of me, and I became an apprentice for that person. And we did a business. It didn't really work, but eventually I ended up in Southeast Asia. Bali back then was still a place that was interesting. I would say right now I wouldn't go, but then I clung onto that person, and from that person I really learned all the things about community building, content. We ran a highly successful sales and coaching business back then, but during that process I maybe made like 2, 3, 4K a month. Really not a lot of money, but I was just learning. And eventually when I transitioned, or later I made more money, I transitioned into Web3. All of those skills allowed me to really capitalize and leverage big. So what I really recommend each and every one of you to do is to spend some hours per day doing free work. Why? Doing free work is really going to help you to explain things, teach things, and it's also going to make you a better person yourself. What I highly recommend is against networking, like joining AMAs just to talk to people, going too much into in real life events. If you're right now in this call, I would assume that you are still trying to perfect a skill that you can monetize. So look at yourself and ask yourself, what is something that I'm curious about, not something that I'm good at. I think that's a very bad question. Maybe that's community building, maybe that's copywriting, maybe that's design, maybe that's, let's call it Web3 funnel building, and offer that service to projects or founders for free. Why? Is going to give you a track record. It's going to give you more experience. It will allow you to connect, and you're not under the pressure of saying, hey, I need to make like 1K, I need to do this. It's simply going to put you in the really nice position to develop your skill set and to simply become a better person. So I call this here daily workflow for free work. Networking is a scam. Apply Tugan method by summarizing AMAs, why threads about the roadmap. Simply add value. Be a what we call an orbiting influencer for projects, or become a free advisor. I wouldn't call it like an advisor, but an advisor that also executes, right? So I was running a project back in the days, and somebody came in the Discord. He said, hey, like I really have good advice on what to do on Discord or what to do on Twitter. It's nice, interesting, but I would rather see them do stuff. I would rather have them do things for me. Right now in the position, and I would think that's the case for, I think even myself still, and most of you, the only resource that you have is time. You have a lot of time. You have a lot of time to learn. You have a lot of time to connect. You have a lot of time to apply things. So use that time above everything just to become better right now. And what we have here, share your content, continue the conversation, and keep making connections with C-level management. So I have a friend of mine, his name is Rev, he's Indian, he's like 18, and he's working with, it's called Ethos Wallet. And Ethos Wallet is one of the leading wallets on Sui Network. Sui Network was built by some ex-Facebook Silicon Valley geeks that have no clue how to talk to regular people. But because he's in there, he can talk to the founders of Sui. And if he just sticks in there, eventually he has an idea and he can just go to this guy, say, hey, I've been working with this company for a while, this company, I would like to have a grant of maybe 20, 30K. Can you do it? Yes. And why? Because he's been compounding on these connections. He proved that he can do things, and it's just really good. So keep writing, sharing love. I don't know what I mean here, and share improvements. While you do that, keep reading the books that are put in the book list and become an apprentice. Again, like reading books is cool, it's nice, it's sexy, but I really want to stay away from giving too much like general YouTube advice here. That brings me to the next point, and that's an idea that we talked about today already in the AMA that we had with Thuan, and that's the idea of a PayPal mafia. So when I joined Web3 in early 2022, I had 0.5 friends in Web3. And I made hundreds of thousands of dollars just from that 0.5 friend. How does it work? I proved myself in a previous company. I was very good. I know how to run operations. I know how to work with big teams. I know how to motivate people. I know how to get stuff done. And he said, hey, we're launching this thing. You want to join on board? I jumped on board. Turned out well for me. Tugan had 4 to 5 friends that were really building in Web3, and he made tens of millions of dollars. So right now, how many people are in this call? I think we have 8 people in this call, which is absolutely incredible. 14 people in this call. So it's very difficult to understand. Sorry, I'm quite bad with screen sharing, but it's really bad. It's really difficult to understand how quick things can go. Sorry, you can all see side workshops, right? Yeah. So you're in here, 14 people, everybody's working on stuff, everybody's connecting, everybody knows things, and you can, in 1 month, in 3 months, in 2 years, really use that network. So right now, it might be a bit difficult to see the larger picture or the larger vision of what we're building on, but eventually you're surrounded by a group of people that really understand things, a group of people that can really do stuff, and a group of people that has access to capital, to talent, to distribution. And this is just really, really important for anything that you want to do. If you launch a Web3 project, what are the problems that you will encounter? Okay, if you're not rich and you don't have any rich friends, okay, you need capital. Okay, let's say you know somebody that's like head of this grant or head of this DAO or head of this this blockchain or head of this protocol. Okay, maybe they can invest in you. Okay, you're looking for talent to hire. Okay, now you have 10 people that know community managers, that know moderators, that know, let's say, social managers, if that's even a job. But it's just really, really fast. And most importantly, you also are connected to distribution. Let's say you're launching this thing, boom, you have 10 people that can retweet your stuff. I never had this. 99% of people don't have this. So you're really in an extremely unique position. The only thing that you have to contribute is quality and is hard work. We wrote about this in the past, Tugan and me, that PayPal mafias are by definition fair. You can only get in if you deserve it. If you're a loser Web3 entrepreneur, if you're a loser builder, you're not going to be in there because people won't respect you. If your content is not, between brackets, good, if you're not interesting, you won't be able to have a seat on the table. So for each and every one of you, it's a good reflection to always ask yourself, is what I'm doing, is that interesting? Is that good? Do I deserve? Would I invite myself to the PayPal mafia that I want to be a part of? And then free work, become an apprentice, better operation, better distribution, and just become really, really smart. How to attract builders around you? Very simple. Just do things. You know that meme where he says, please, sir, make money. Update them on stuff you're doing, give them free stuff, give them free advice. I probably spend like 2 hours a week just talking to people that I admire or that I think are very interesting, giving sort of free advice on Telegram. I don't really do calls, but I sometimes write like briefing docs for them. This is what you can do. And I don't expect anything in return. It's just that you're giving. And I think it's a very nice mindset also for everybody to be in, is to spread knowledge, to distribute, to give, and eventually you will receive. So don't focus on the short score. Don't focus on whatever the 1K per month retainer. Just give. Have that energy every morning, and it's gonna go there. If you want to get close to aristocracy, for example, call it the CEO of the Sui network, work for free, like our friend Rija, do Twitter spaces, like do them yourself, invite the community. You can offer to do Discord AMAs, offer your free work again. Big secret, what I mentioned in the beginning, there are actually no good people in Web3. 99% of people are dopamine fucked and suck. And the 1% are maybe nerds. So any questions about this, guys? This was a bit of like an introduction more about, I would say, spreading free work, spreading good energy, and being surrounded by really high intelligence, high integrity, and really high knowledge. Yeah. And I think I like the thing that I mentioned there is ask yourself, do I deserve a spot on that table? If I would invite myself to that club with the current things that I do every morning when I wake up, is that good enough for what I would expect from others? Any questions, guys? If not, then we're just going to move on to the FU army. Sounds good? What's the goal? The goal of having a PayPal army is, we, like Tugan and I, we talk about something that's called the power triangle. And everything in life is an equation of power. You want things, you can get them through power. If you, for example, let's say you want to raise money, you have an FU army, then you can simply raise money through the FU army. Okay, somebody wants to cancel you, you get deplatformed. Okay, your army always supports you. If you have a PayPal mafia, distribution is done. You have a network where you can raise money from, and you have simply access to a lot of talents. So this is more an idea of how do you put yourself in a position of power. And Tugan talked about this in the AMA today as well, is how do you, or why do most people don't make it in Web3? It's because they stop. It's because you're in here 1 year and you quit, you make an AI startup, then you go back to sales, then you do an online course, but you don't compound on the relationships that you have in here. So again, there are probably like 300 people right now in Web3 that are actually building stuff, and 14 of them are in here. So give yourself a bit of a clap of the shoulder. Things can go really fast, especially if you have power. So that's kind of it. The second thing that I want to talk about is an FU army. A small hint that I want to give already here is that probably most of you don't have a belief that is strong enough for people to follow you. And I don't mean this in a bad way. It's an exploration of the things that you stand for. And let's reflect it on myself. Like, I started doing content like a year ago. I was just doing operating stuff, and I was CEO of a couple like ideas or ventures that we were building on. And I said, hey, like, I just want to do this stuff. But I kind of just copied a lot of things that I thought to be interesting. Back then, not everybody was doing content, and nobody cared. And the reason that nobody cares about content is that it's not authentic, it's not different, it doesn't like grab people at the throat and rocks them out of complacency. That's why people don't care. And if you want to build something that's called an FU army, you need to have a strong belief, and you need to be a person that is worth following. So what does that mean? If you look at all the leaders in history that had a bunch of followers, they all were charismatic, they all had character, and they all had knowledge. So people also like to follow experts. Why? Because you're going to learn something from them. In the email game, there's a guy that's called Ben Settle, and he's very good. He's an expert in email marketing. He's also a really interesting dude about the things he talks about. So it's good. So if you're right now listening, you're like, okay, maybe like I don't even know the things that I really stand for. Like, maybe it's some whatever stuff that you grabbed on from like maybe Tugan or maybe from me or maybe Andrew Tate or whoever, or Vitalik, whatever it might be. But in order to congregate people around you and around your mission, you need to have a strong belief, and you need to have a story to tell. So how to start, how to become somebody that's worth following, get some skin in the game. If possible, work for free, get in a lot of stress, survive some projects that fail or survive. So you have a lot of stories to tell. You can also use reading as a way to acquire more knowledge, read some books that we gave you. But again, get some skin in the game, work really hard, do some risky things, connect with some crazy people. Crazy, I mean, crazy intelligent, crazy interesting, building cool things. And that will allow you to become a person that is worth following. Good. So now let's talk about the first steps for your FU army. So a moment in time where you can say, okay, right now is probably the time for me to start thinking about giving a place for the people that follow me, is when you have like really solid, like 30 likes, 30 retweets on X or on Twitter. And then the question is like, hey guys, like, do you want more of this? Okay, read my newsletter or Telegram. That newsletter or Telegram is your one thing. That's a product. And I think that idea is very good of saying, whatever you do, it is a product. For example, if you go to Luke Belmar, if you go to the Telegram channel, the voice messages that he sends, it's a product. They call it data sets. What we do with Lean Motherfucker is daily ideas. And I actually don't think like that our product is good enough. If you look at the daily Stoic letter, is every day you get a Stoic thing. It's a product. And afterwards, you want more. You congregate behind that vision of, let's say, a Stoic future. And it's just good. So another thing that is important in that part is in pickup artistry, what you basically do is you move people from one place to another. So you say, hey, you're on Twitter, let's go there. Like what people in pickup artistry do is, let's say they meet somebody and say, hey, let's go here, let's go here, let's go here. If people follow you, the bond to you simply becomes stronger. So what we're doing here is we're doing things that don't scale. You pick 10 people that you talk with every day. So for every one of you, and I want to do the small exercise with all of you, and I want you to write that in the chat, like, what are some unique beliefs that you share? What are some unique beliefs that you own? For me, I believe that everything will be tokenized in 5 years. That's my unique belief. And I want to hear from everybody that's in the chat, 14 people in here, send me in the chat one unique belief that you have. One unique belief that is worth following. For Exe is degens should be able to gamble on meme coins without risking to get hacked. Next bull run, biggest wave of new millionaires in history. But guys, keep it coming. Nice one, Amir. Yanis, maybe you also have some to share. Building in Web3, the way to become rich and get a strong network. That's very good. Something in the system is working against us, and we should stand out and strive for excellence. Okay, great examples. The first input I have already for all of you is if you're a niche monopolizer, your vision or your unique belief should be something that is connected to this micro niche that you're working on. For example, Chainlink believes in one thing, right? If you're whatever, like 5 years ago, if you worked on, let's say, spreading the knowledge of Bitcoin, you probably talked about that the world should be bankless. And all the people that did it, they had followers. What is also very important here is that this is not about you. Like Rev said, I'll be a millionaire. Like nobody cares. And it's a very egoistic thing to think about. And if you think about this, probably not gonna be it. But it's more like, hey, what is the vision that I present to all of you? And how can I give you a vehicle, something that you can use in order to get there? Right? For example, let's take lean motherfucker. We believe that everything will be tokenized in the future, that governments are doing a very bad job, things are getting nasty. So we teach you about mobility, financial freedom, making cash flow, building in Web3. It's actually too much. But the vehicle to get there is reading our newsletter. So Web3 gaming is the future. Very good. So, for example, for Sota, then for you would be to think about what is something that you can give to the people that follow you, that join your community, your fuck you army, the overarching belief that people believe every day they wake up. For example, for Side is really, guys, the Web2 system is absolutely rigged. If you just want to set yourself and your family up, build in Web3. It's the only way. Otherwise, you're going to get absolutely crushed. Building in Web3, the way to become rich and get a strong network. Yeah, I mean, why not? But for example, Healthy says health is the only thing that is truly worth working on. It's good, but it's too broad. For example, if you look at the only health influencers that stood out, it's what's the name of this guy on testosterone that did all this carnivore? Whatever, you probably know who I mean. He was extremely the liver king. Yeah, he was only eating raw liver. He was on testosterone. He had like 150 kilos. He was totally ripped, and he also disappeared after 6 months. So if you think about like always refer it. For example, Alex Becker, great example to say, okay, the only possibility to do a 100 or 1000x in the next 5 years in Web3 is through crypto gaming. That's an overarching belief. Boom, guys, join Neo Tokyo. And for Neo Tokyo, the idea is then the following, right? So here you start building out the foundations of a community that is worth being part of. A community itself is a bit like a group of people, or I'm gonna start differently in that way. So if you go to Alex Becker and you join Neo Tokyo, what do you see? You see people that have the same beliefs, you have people that talk the same way, you have a polarizing figure on the top, and you have a couple insider jokes or enemies that they work against on. If you look at any religious movements, if you look at any family clans even, right? If you look at the mafias of the 1940s, it's all like this. They talk a certain way. There's probably a leader on the top that inspires these people. Let's talk about side for this. I made these examples. What is unique vocabulary? We said we don't want to use good morning anymore. We say go build. We also say there's no more laziness and weak vocabulary. It needs to be high energy. So if you come in and you talk about NFT flipping, if you talk about like, hey guys, we're all gonna make it, whack me, just get the fuck out, right? You don't have a job here. Great example for an anthem is the J-Coin anthem. For anybody that hasn't heard it, is really good. Common jargon, polarizing MVG figure on the top is Tugan or Amir, for example, or maybe me with my glasses. Enemies and our enemies are Web2 structures, low testosterone, and needy influencers. So what you kind of do here is you strengthen the bonds within the community. So you identified your vision in the beginning. So you said, okay, let's take an example here. Yeah, that's cool. Most commercial real estate promotions will be shown in the metaverse. Yeah, but so for that example, it would be more why does that matter to me? Like it would be maybe commercial real estate is the next big change in how whatever transactions are done or how ownership is going to look like. And then by me being part of this, I can benefit from this as well. So your vision should be more compelling. Blockchain gaming will make a great impact on Web3. It's the next source of cash inflow. Yeah, it's very similar to what New Tokyo says. The only 101,000x is through Web3 gaming or Web3 crypto gaming in that sense. So really make it specific. Eventually, when you do things that don't scale, you're going to have 10 people that are going to be like, yeah, like I resonate with the stuff, right? Like, for example, for Side, like I tried Web2 stuff. None of it works. I want to try some other stuff. I think Web3, like that kind of makes sense. Like me studying to become a doctor, like that's not going to happen. Or me trying to become like a pilot or any sort of Web2 banking analyst, me following that path is crooked. It's a scam. I realize it. That's why we give you the vehicle of saying, hey guys, like join these workshops. It's fun. We're all doing stuff. You don't even have to pay for it. The only thing that we're benefiting from it, we're surrounded by a lot of cool people. The vision and the word of Side is being spread, and all of you and all of us are benefiting. And it's just beautiful. And that's why people join, people come, people are a part of it. The next step is you make the connections within the members stronger. So for example, for Facebook, what did they do? People signed up and the goal was, hey, let's make sure that people, after they join, connect them with 7 friends as fast as possible. Boom, they connected with 7 people, then they were really unlikely to leave. So that's why we do all these AMAs. That's why we want you to have accountability partners, because it's going to make also your commitment to yourself stronger. It's going to give you the opportunity, possibility to grow in the space for yourself. And yeah, that was kind of the idea of the Fuck You Army. I think these are the things that I wanted to mention here. Very important aspect is you will not be able to just be out there and tweet every day and wake up and think that anything's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. Nobody will ever care. What you need is a compelling vision of the future. What you need is you must be different. You must be authentic. You must say things that other people are afraid to say or don't say, simply to capture the attention or also the belief of your audience. If you don't do that, you will never have people that follow you. But if you do, 10 people will turn into 50, 50 into 100, 100 into 1,000. It's a beautiful process. So what you do in the beginning, you pick a niche. You pick a niche. Why? Because if you are precise, if you are micro, you compete with no one. It's very easy to connect with founders, build your PayPal mafia, get sponsorships, monetize that thing. Eventually, you connect with people that are part of this larger thing because they believe in it, right? So they're part of this and they say, hey, like we're part of this, whatever, we're part of Chainlink because we believe in Chainlink. We're part of Ripple because we believe in Ripple. You come in there and you create a micro group of Ripple, for example, and they believe in you, they follow you, you engage with them, you build your small FU army based on that larger thing. And eventually people will stick to you, you're authentic, you're an MVG, and whatever you might do, whatever you teach, whatever you preach, whatever expertism that you can share with them, people will take with them. And people will, whatever, eventually we have this question a lot, like, hey guys, like I have this crazy micro niche, what if it doesn't work out? And Tugan made a video about this today. Like, if you're really good and if you say good stuff, people will always follow you. Like he started back in the days with giving economics teaching lessons, eventually transition into marketing. Right now we're talking about Web3. So it's a transition, people stick to you, and it's a really beautiful way of compounding. But you will only get there if you have a micro niche, if you say things that compel with people, if you've done the foundations of being a minimum viable guru. And that is visual consistency, that is being interesting, that is having contrarian beliefs. So work on that a bit. Like ask yourself, sit down a bit every day, half an hour. What are things that I truly believe in? What are things that I stand for? What are things that are authentic and true to me? And if nothing comes to mind, probably an NPC. You probably don't have a lot of opinions on your own. And then just sit here, look out a bit and say, hey, like, what do I really believe in? Like, what are my moral obligations, moral ideas that I want to share with the world? Think about it, keep massaging it in your brain, and eventually you will have a message that is interesting enough for people to follow it. It's going to take us some time. That's fine. But building out your PayPal Mafia, building out your FU army are very, very important and very easy steps that you should do every day. And you will see it's also a beautiful process of self-development, because suddenly you wake up, you're like, what do I stand for? I don't stand for anything. Am I just repeating what Apollo tells me or what Alex Becker tells me? If you go to like Neo Tokyo, everybody's kind of repeating what Alex Becker says, which is fine, right? But if you want to create a personality that is worth following, it's just really good. So Exa says, looks like it's working for me. Half of the time when I cold DM someone after giving some explanations on my vision, they say that it's a great idea and join my FU army. So for your specific case, Exa, I think what like the vision that you're preaching is that people shouldn't be rugged by meme coins, and that everybody should be able to whatever make money of meme coins. I hope you're not saying this because this sounds very dangerous, but I think it's something in those lines. The thing is with this stuff, like it's very easy to agree because everybody that ever bought a meme coin probably lost some money. So they are like butthurt and they say, hey, like I want to be part of this. Like all these meme coin founders, they're all ruggers. The only thing that like you will encounter is the people that you will deal with are probably very low energy and very quite toxic. I stay very far away from doing any trading, buying any coins. I hold some Bitcoin, some ETH, and some side, and that's really it. Bit of Solana. Why? Is because it's a way to train your brain to not go for the short-term hits. If you work with a meme coin community, they have been rugged and screwed over so many times that they're just waiting to release their anger on top of you. It's a very low quality, low frequency community. You can try it, Exa. I think it's okay. But the question is then, okay, you say, I believe that people shouldn't be rugged by meme coins. Okay, what's the vehicle? I think for you, it's you make meme coins that don't rug. Very dangerous vehicle again. Or let's say you make a community where you give advice, where you share meme coins that probably don't rug. Let's say somebody is rugs because it's out of your responsibility. Boom, everybody hates you. So I would look for a vehicle that you can teach through expertism, that you can teach through knowledge, that you can pass over or inspiration, and things will be very good. Things will be very good. Are there any other questions, any other comments on PayPal Mafia, on Fuck You Army, on what we've talked about in the last 35 minutes? You can type in the chat. 13 people in here, guys. Good PayPal Mafia. So the first step to creating an FU army is to have a vision. And eventually people will want to have more of that vision. And if they keep asking more, give me more, you give them more. And you switch them to a second thing, which could be a newsletter, which could be Telegram voice notes, which could be a blog, which could be a Telegram channel where everybody's posting stuff. It is simply a connection with more stuff of you. So it could be a newsletter. It could be something. I personally really like newsletters because they're really great to monetize. It's a really great practice for you to become an expert in what you teach. It's really great way for you every day to sit down and become better. Even if you sit down and you write emails every day for 60 days, because if you make an email newsletter, I personally believe you must email every day. If you don't, it's not worth it. Let's say you sit down, you write every day for 60 days, one email. 100% you're going to change a lot. Your beliefs are going to change. You're going to become more authentic. You're going to learn a lot more about the niche you're in because you have the pressure every day just to send one email. So for everybody in here, I highly recommend just sitting down, writing one email per day, even if nobody's reading it. So Yanis says, I can confirm, it really changes a lot, especially in Web3, because people just don't have any attention span and people are not able to sit down and write one email per day in Web3. If you look at the bigger Web3 newsletters that really make a lot of money, like Milk Road, I think they make like 300K a month, probably not going to be Milk Road. But if you're niche enough, if you work with a high quality audience, which I always recommend, you can easily print 5 to 10K a month just from that newsletter. By sponsorships, by asking Chainlink, like, hey guys, like I got this newsletter, we send emails every day, 500 people read it. What do you think? You want to do a promo for $500? What do you think? Right? And that is a really great way also for all of you. Get some ideas out there. Let's say you have 1,000 readers, you do a promo for $200 every day, 6K a month, guys, and it's not really that difficult. So yeah, that was it from my side. I think the growth path, I believe, is very clear for all of you right now. If you're not monopolizing a niche, you're just going to be left behind later on. And go really niche. Think about how you can monetize your expertism in that niche, how you can get advertisers, for example, to push stuff through you. If you say, guys, I don't care about cash flow, I already have money, then go in that niche, think about your authentic, true belief, spread it, go in Discord, be on Twitter, do AMAs, share your MVG specific stuff, hope that people will congregate around you, and then eventually link them to stuff that goes down the ladder. More connections with you, more information from you, more commitment from you, and later on also more products that you can sell to them. Again, what we're doing is building anti-fragile assets like a PayPal Mafia, people you can connect with, people you can raise money from, people you can get talent from. This is beautiful. And FU Army, very similar. Raise money, connect with people. That's it. All right, guys, less than a minute left because we believe that Zoom Pro is needy. And what do you think about this call? I just want to hear a bit in the comments, like how did you like about it? What do you want to take from these calls? Is that something helpful for you? Again, like first call ever for me. What is some knowledge that you would like to hear more of? What I will talk about already is operations, growing in Web3, and thinking about just your future, and also realizing things can go very fast. Things can go really quickly if you're with the right people. 14 people in here, and it's great. Yeah. Exa, go for it. Go for it. Again, like, that's it. Good to keep this consistency about team connections. That's why we do everyday AMAs. That's why we do like 4 or 5 events per week and really think